from the blackest corners of your mind, they call, pulling you deep into shadow, twisting your senses, keeping you from sleep. It's time to face your darkest fears. This is Tales to Terrify. Good evening, children of the night, and welcome. Before we dive into our story this evening, I'd like to give a big shout-out to our newest supporter on Patreon, Donna Martin. It's dark and twisted souls like you that give us a reason to shamble these airwaves, Donna. Thank you so much for your support. We have one longer tale for you this evening, about a pair of strangers brought together over an unusual attachment to their collectibles. Our story this evening comes to us from Barbara A. Barnett. Barbara A. Barnett is a Philadelphia area writer, musician, Odyssey Writing Workshop graduate, occasional orchestra librarian, coffee addict, and all-around geek. Her short stories have appeared in publications such as Weird Horror Magazine, Lady Churchill's Rosebud Wristlet, Vastarian, Beneath Ceaseless Skies, and Black Static. You can find her lurking online at babarnett.com. Children of the night, join me for Barbara A. Barnett's Self-Storage, first published in Somnio, a collection of modern Gothic horror, October 2021.
Your creepy doll collection is freaking people out. The sign outside Anderson's self-storage reads, "Store them here." Most drive by and laugh, if they notice the sign at all. But not Mia. She brakes, hard and sudden enough to elicit a screech of tires from the car behind her, the sustained belch of a horn, then a middle finger through the window. Mia registers it all the way she would a gnat, a tiny thing gone before she has time to consider swatting it. It's the wording that draws her in. Creepy. Not evil or possessed, because it's not like that. Just creepy. She cuts off another car as she swerves into the parking lot. The next horn is distant as her ex's taunts about her normally too careful driving. Her foot twitches on the brake pedal. Coincidence? Delusion? She could slam down the gas, plow through the signboard, and determine just how real it is. No worse than what she'd been planning to do, right? Instead, she studies the sign more closely. Many of its changeable letters have gone missing. An upside-down 7 replaces one of the L's in doll. A backwards 3 replaces the penultimate E of here. Rust tinges the edges of the frame, and the grooves into which the letters slide are caked with black crud. Mia shuts off the engine. It's real. Had she dreamed up a sign, it would be immaculate, the letters perfectly spaced and all the same color. She's too fastidious to have produced this one, even in her imagination. A day ago, she would have driven by and laughed, if she noticed the sign at all. Like most people. Today, she scrambles out of her car and hurries toward the rental office. The man at the desk is covered with liver spots and smells like cat hair and disease, yet Mia hugs him when they finish the paperwork. Her cheeks flush hot. God, she's never hugged anyone so spontaneously. Not family, not a boyfriend. She returns to her car, pops open the trunk, and lugs the first box of dolls toward a blocky 2-story building, inside which her new storage unit awaits. Maybe this will stop her dreams about the river, Sweat trickles down Steve's neck and winds through the crevices beneath his shirt, as invasive as the sign's message. The Sports Collector's Curse. They've played more games than you can fit in your apartment. Coincidence, he thinks, loading his boxes onto a borrowed hand truck. He's the one with the dubious judgment, after all, choosing the middle of a heat wave to move an SUV's worth of baseball memorabilia, trading cards and pennants, bats and mitts, and the countless foul balls he caught in the stands as a kid. Too many coincidences. Like the way those foul balls always came to him, no matter where he sat, no matter which ballpark. Yet of all the things his father questioned him about over the years, his obsession with poetry, his lack of obsession with girls, the old man never questioned that. Just laughed and called his Steve-O an amazing catch, a natural, so why the hell had he quit playing ball himself? Steve pushes the hand truck down an aisle inside building number 2. It's impossibly long, like the ones you traverse in a dream, with white concrete broken by red steel doors, each one grooved, padlocked, and identified by neat black numbers. The hand truck's left wheel is loose, moving ever so slightly faster than the other. Steve piled the boxes too high, and now they teeter toward the right. He pushes the hand truck faster, the handles threatening to slip from his sweaty grasp. He should have buried the boxes in the middle of nowhere like he'd planned. A placard points the way toward his destination, units 240 to 280. Steve rounds the corner, and that's when he meets the girl with the dolls. Mia doesn't hear footsteps or the squeaking wheel. It's not until the man with the hand truck speaks that she hears anything at all. His words are lost on her, even as they yank her back to consciousness. She's standing in front of her storage unit, a doll at her feet, the door half open. Or is it half closed? The man nods toward her hand. You're bleeding. She winces, partly from the cut on her finger, but more from having a stranger witness one of her disorienting returns to awareness. The damn thing bit me. His gaze flits between her and the doll at her feet. Beatrice, with her brown curls, frilly yellow dress, and porcelain lips pursed in a look of permanent dissatisfaction. The man's face goes so pale that Mia giggles. The door lock. She presses the edge of her t-shirt against the cut. I caught my finger on it. Well, yeah, obviously, it wasn't... He fidgets, cheeks reddening as he adjusts his grip on the hand truck. Dude, if the doll bit me, you would have heard screaming. Lots and lots of screaming. He responds with an unsteady laugh. Though he's half obscured by the hand truck's tower of boxes, Mia sees enough to judge him in his late 30s like her, that age when you're supposed to be adult enough to have your shit together, yet you still feel like everything's out of your control. Or is that just me? He has the kind of easy handsomeness she's never gone for. But the edge to his laugh, the haunted way his gaze darts about, there's something off about him. Because he didn't just assume she was talking about the doll when she said the damn thing bit her. He would have believed it was the doll. She's sure of it. He nods toward her hand again. I have some band-aids back in my... He tilts the hand truck forward to set the lip on the floor. The bottom box crumples inward with a whoomp. They realize his mistake in unison. He swears and she darts forward, but neither is fast enough to stop the boxes from toppling. One bursts open and vomits its contents across the floor. Hats, jerseys, and at least a dozen baseballs. Mia reaches for one. Don't! She flinches at his sharp tone, but her hand is already on the ball, holding it out to him. He stares, a twitch in his lower lip, as if she's offered him an unpinned grenade. It's just a ball, she says. Right? I mean, unless you're smuggling drugs in it or something. When he still doesn't take it, she mutters, whatever, and tosses it aside. Momentum should have carried it away from them, but instead the ball rolls toward the man's feet, where the other balls have accumulated as well. He kicks one away, grimaces as it rolls back. Mia crouches to view the phenomenon at floor level, feeling like a kid trying to figure out how the magic trick works. How are you doing that? He snorts, then snatches up a ball and hurls it down the aisle, banking it off the wall so that it disappears around the corner. Another grimace. Okay, if you don't want to. Wait for it. The baseball reappears, rolling toward him. Mia giggles. It's like a dog faithfully padding back to its owner. But the way he looks at her in response, the watery eyes, arms clutched tight, like he's in pain. A man who really believed a doll had bitten her. It's not a trick, he says. It's a fucking curse. He stares past her into her storage unit. Want to tell me about yours? The girl's name is Mia, and the doll he so stupidly thought had bitten her is Beatrice. Steve didn't ask for the doll's name. Mia offered it without prompting. That would have been a normal person's cue to end the conversation, but he's not a normal person. Sorry, Dad. And so her peculiarity holds him there like a magnet. After stuffing his toppled collectibles back into the box, God, why did he show her what the balls did? He's never done that before. They sit in front of her storage unit, backs against either side of the open door. Inside the unit, boxes are neatly stacked, as one might expect. In front of those boxes, as one might not expect, is a tea party. 4 dolls in Victorian gowns seated around a tiny pink table with a white doily and even tinier teacups. I black out sometimes, Mia says, never quite meeting his gaze. And when I come to, she nods toward the tea party. My ex filmed me arranging them one time. I was talking to them, asking them questions, like where they wanted to sit. Can't blame him for leaving after that. It was creepy as fuck. When did you start collecting? Mia laughs, a jaded bark of a sound. I never started. My parents gave me a few when I was a kid. And once you have a few, people assume it's a thing and keep getting them for you. Steve chuckles. Yeah, I know how that goes. Mia plays with Beatrice's curls, pulling until they slip from her wispy fingers and spring back into place. I hoped it would finally stop when I moved them here, but I keep coming back. One second I'm making a sandwich, the next I'm here. She's much like her dolls. Pale, round cheeks, glossy brown curls, a glassy cast to her eyes, her actions directed by some other hand. Lots of questions about me, she says. So what's your story? Steve wrings his hands and decides half-truth will suffice. You saw it. The reason the guy who loves baseball is too scared to play. Is it like every baseball? I mean, if you're walking by a Little League game, do all the balls just start rolling out of the equipment bag and following you down the street? Steve laughs. A good, satisfying, deep-from-the-gut one. No, it's... His next laugh is decidedly not satisfying, there to match the shift in his mood as reality replaces her fanciful image. It's not all of them, just some. There's more, and he wants to tell her, but the desire not to scare her away wins out. It always wins out. You came here because of the sign, she says. He wrings his hands harder. It's not a question. There was something about sports on it today, she continues. And you just happened to have all that shit in your car when you drove by, right? He shivers, not because of the AC blasting overhead, but because of coincidences that aren't really coincidences. Same for you? She nods, stands, then surveys her storage unit, as if considering how best to set fire to it. Maybe she should. Maybe he should help. Instead, Mia unleashes a shriek and hurls Beatrice at the tea party. The other dolls topple from their chairs. They hit the ground with dress-muffled taps, out of place with the clatter of their plastic teacups. Mia leans forward, hands on her knees, breathing like someone who's just run a marathon. I hate this fucking place! Her finger is bleeding again, which makes Steve think of the lock, which in turn gives him an idea. It's so simple. We can trade keys, he says, to our storage units. Then you can't get to the dolls, the balls can't get to me, and we're both free. Before he's even finished speaking, she's rummaging through the purse she wears slung over one shoulder. Just one condition, Steve adds. Don't touch my shit, and I won't touch yours. We just let it all collect dust and move on with our lives. Mia finds her key and thrusts it in his face. It's a deal, ball boy. More than Mia's finger is bleeding now. Her knuckles are bruised and split open, the skin around them smeared in sunset shades of purple and red. Her fingernails are ragged and broken. She has no memory of trying to claw her way into the storage unit, yet the evidence is there, etched into the door's fluted red metal. Shouldn't the noise have drawn someone? She lifts her hands to her mouth, licks away the salty blood, and laughs cries in gratitude for the pain. It's the only reason she's snapped back to consciousness. Shouldn't there be a guard, some blue uniformed guy who knows every unit renter by name? Her hand aches as she forces it into her purse and fumbles out her phone. 2:34 a.m. How the hell did I get in here? The gate closes at 10. She doesn't remember texting Steve, but she's sent him at least 10 messages, asking for his address and never getting a response. Her breathing quickens. Sharp inhale, staccato quaver on the exhale, repeated like a drumbeat. What the hell had she been thinking, trusting her key to some rando without getting more than a cell number? Not even a last name. Maybe he stole her shit. Maybe there's nothing behind that door. No. The dolls are here because she's here. Like that time after her 5th grade slumber party when Stephanie Miller snuck one home with her. Mia had no idea who'd taken it. Yet she jumped on her bike and rode straight to Stephanie's house, the same feeling then as tonight. Thoughts clouded, body numb. Only that pull. No, that yank. Coming to her senses in a strange house, one she'd apparently stormed into without knocking, and Stephanie Miller crying and saying she didn't want her stupid doll anyway. And the other kids whispering after that, even though Mia doesn't remember scratching Stephanie's cheek. Mia leans against the wall and slides to the floor. Her t-shirt drags against the concrete, and she wants to rip the damn thing off. Because she doesn't remember getting dressed. She only remembers... well, not these clothes. She never would have paired this shirt with these sandals. One of her broken nails catches on the shirt, and now there's blood on it, wet like the river. She'd been dreaming of the river again, dreaming of drowning. Even dead, I'd still be here clawing at the door. Zombie girl needs her dolls. She shifts, feels the jab of something hard and pointed in her back pocket. Steve's key. Don't touch my shit, I won't touch yours. Well, fuck that promise, because she wouldn't be such a middle-of-the-night shit show if it weren't for his brilliant idea now, would she? Mia's breathing evens. She stands and heads toward Unit 276. When the knocking starts, Steve's already awake, scribbling out a poem that will remain hidden in a notebook with all the others. Poetry isn't a thing guys like him are supposed to be into. Feelings are a thing you're supposed to keep hidden lest people find the stitching holding you together, lest they dig their fingers between the seams and tear. He knows it's Mia at the door. He's ignored her text because that's what she asked him to do when they swapped keys. If I know where you live, I'll totally stalk you to get it back. But she's found his address after all. And worse, he knows she went through his storage unit. That's the reason he's awake. Bandage on his forearm, red splotching through the gauze. Bitch can wait. But his head throbs in time with her knocking, a maddening synchronicity that finally drives him to his feet, notebook tossed aside. He yanks open the door. What? Mia lowers the hand that had been pounding. The red and purple swell of her knuckles is the only reason he doesn't tell her to fuck off. He doesn't need to ask how they got that way. She follows his stare. Do you have an ice pack or something? Steve snorts, as if that's why she's here. Yet he waves her inside. What'd you do to your arm? She asks. He heads to the kitchen, no answer, no invitation to sit. Just leaves her standing in his living room. When he returns with a towel-wrapped ice pack, she's spinning in circles, studying his walls and shelves. With her oversized purse weighing down one shoulder, she looks like a lopsided merry-go-round horse. Her gaze breezes past photos, artwork, and his piles of books, lingering instead on the empty spaces where the sports memorabilia had been. You're lucky I don't have to work in the morning, He thrust the ice pack at her. You want to tell me how you got my address? Mia shrugs. I had you pegged for the former Boy Scout type. Figured you'd have neat little labels with your contact info affixed to the back of your stuff. And I was right. He clenches his jaw. It's all he can do not to snatch the ice pack away. Don't worry. Mia eyes his rumpled t-shirt and boxers, smirking. I didn't touch any of your magic balls. Except you did. Look, she says, just give me my key back already. No. She twitches like an addict. What the fuck, man? We had an agreement. No going through each other's shit. And you broke it. Because I need my key. She stares at him, eyes bloodshot, lower lip trembling. She shifts the ice pack from hand to hand until the towel unravels. It falls to the floor, the ice pack follows, and then her tears. It's such a pathetic display that all Steve can think about is how damp his carpet will get. He reaches for the ice pack, but she grasps him by the shirt. Please, I'll do anything you want, anything you like. She presses close, lips parted. Steve cringes even though she's the one who should be embarrassed. As if he's supposed to be enticed by this? Her battered, ice-cold hands, her hair hanging in tangled clumps, her bulky purse knocking against his thigh. He eases her away. There are so many reasons why that isn't going to happen. Mia's gaze finally falls on something other than the empty spots on his shelves. The photo of him and Jason, hand in hand outside a stadium. Boyfriend? She asks. Yeah. But he's not here now? The way she says it. Christ. He can't tell if she's thinking she might still be able to seduce him, or if she's insinuating that his relationship sucks. Not that she'd be wrong about the latter. Too afraid of opening up, too afraid of getting hurt, too afraid of being himself. Jason has an infuriatingly accurate litany of things Steve's afraid of. But right now, lying is easier than admitting they broke up. So he mutters, night shift at the hospital. Doctor? Nurse. What, not smart enough to be a doctor? His father once said. Yet in the same breath remained perplexed as to why Steve wouldn't bring Jason over to meet him. Mia's interest shifts from the photo to the jacket draped over the arm of his couch. She peers closely at the Union seal emblazed on the front, like she's going to sniff it. United Steelworkers? So is that what you— I'm not giving you the key. She sighs and turns her gaze upwards, as if making some last-ditch appeal to a higher power. He should give her the key. He should get his own back and be done with this drama of his own creation. But just like when they met, he senses some kind of thread between them. No coincidences. He's sure of that. Look, Mia says, you seem like a decent guy, but... She reaches into her purse, and Steve tenses. She has one of his baseballs. Mia, give me your creepy-ass ball? She turns it until he can see the loose stitching and the small flap of white leather peeling away. No cork or rubber core beneath, instead a pulsing mass of veins and scarlet-drenched muscle. I just obsessively arrange dolls, but this is a special kind of fucked up. The way she wrinkles her nose suggests disgust as much as confusion. She hasn't made the connection yet, he realizes. The calmness of that observation somehow coexists with the cold sweat drenching his skin. Give me back my key, Mia says, and I'll give you back your ball. Though honestly, she fingers the loose leather flap, and he shudders. Why you'd want this back is beyond me. I mean, don't! But she's already peeling back the leather, exposing more of the fleshy mass beneath, and his own skin tears with it. He screams. The same pain that jolted him out of bed earlier now drops him to his knees. He claps a hand over his arm, but the blood is too fast. It's on the carpet with the thawing ice pack, and absurdly, he laughs through the pain at noticing that. Jesus! Mia drops the ball. The exposed section strikes the floor, and Steve howls again, the nerves in his arm on fire. I didn't realize! His neighbor bangs on the wall and barks out indistinct words that seem to assume screams of pleasure, not pain. Steve's now useless bandage dangles beside the length of skin torn off with it. He tugs the bandage free and bites hard into his lip, as much to keep from whimpering as to keep from passing out. Mia kneels beside him, grabs the discarded towel, and presses it over his arm. I wouldn't have... I didn't realize... Why the hell would you? He says through clenched teeth. You just obsessively arrange dolls like a normal freak. She flinches, her shoulders sink, and all he can think is, good, he's hurt her too now. Even though he was right. How would she know? It's not the kind of thing you guess. There's something alive beneath the skin of those balls, a part of you, and you can't get rid of it no matter how hard and far you throw it. And that's the problem, he realizes, staring at the blood-soaked towel on his arm, then at Mia's bruised hands holding it in place. Trying to get rid of their respective curses is how they ended up here, isn't it? His pain is subsumed by a calm so sudden he wonders if he's going into shock. They've been going about it all wrong. Mia's never cared for wine. Too bitter, even the sweet stuff, and it always leaves her with a headache. But it's the only alcohol Steve has, and her head has been throbbing for hours already. So it's what she drinks while he cleans himself up in the bathroom. The baseball sits on the coffee table now, wedged between two thick poetry collections, the leather smoothed back into place. No, smoothed isn't the right word. Because fucking hell, the noise it made, that slurp as it reconnected with the sinew underneath. Mia's wine reverses direction, burning up her throat, and she swallows it back. Christ, that thing had been jostling around in her purse. And before that, she'd been poking at it in Steve's storage locker, treating it like a high school biology lab dissection. How could I have known? She wants to feel rage again. He could have warned her, but she had promised not to touch his stuff, and so he shouldn't have had to. Would she have believed him anyway? It's not as if he could have shown her without hurting himself, and the randomness of that doesn't seem fair, that one curse could be so much more horrific than another. Steve returns from the bathroom, a new patch of gauze taped to his forearm. He cocks his head and scrutinizes the carpet. Damp, but no longer bloody. Then the formerly crooked hanging Van Gogh print she straightened. Then the notebook she moved from his armchair to the side table. Then the other books on his shelves, now in neat stacks where before they'd resembled a game of Jenga. So it's not just the dolls with you, then, he says. You should see how neat your storage unit is now. Mia tries not to laugh, but the sound is like a deflating tire. It's not the same with the dolls. Tidying up his stuff was a choice. Steve collapses into a chair, a hideous orange red she associates with vomit, and that's when she notices how pristine white his bandage is. At least he's not bleeding so profusely anymore. Does it still hurt? She asks. Clarity is one hell of an anesthetic. Clarity? A moment ago, Mia would have described the look on his face as distant, but now she notices the slight upward turn at the corners of his mouth. Not quite a smile, but close. Where were you going when you saw the storage place sign? He asks. Mia takes a too big gulp of wine. Through the tight-chested burn, she mumbles a lie about meeting a friend for drinks. Then she cringes and waits for him to call her on her bullshit. Because why the hell would she have a trunk full of dolls for that? But he doesn't push her. He doesn't even look at her. I was going to find a spot in the middle of the woods and bury it all, he says, staring straight ahead with that not quite a smile. It wouldn't have worked, though. Pile all that dirt on top and I'd probably start suffocating. It's unnerving the way he won't look at her, making her feel like the child of an inattentive parent. Look at me, Mom. I'm going to jump. Mom, you're not looking. And so she blurts out the truth. I was going to dump mine over the side of Newfield Bridge, right into the middle of the fucking river. You know you would have blacked out and gone wading in after them, right? That was the point, yeah. His face drops, and she can't believe he's never considered that way out of his situation before. Huh? There's her rage again. That single dismissive syllable is like stoking embers, prodding her fire back to life. She chugs the last of her wine, sets the glass down too hard on the table, and clambers to her feet. Was that seriously all the consideration her life warranted? Huh? Thanks for the wine, asshole. She heads for the door, and ridiculously she's thinking of how she didn't leave the glass on the coaster, how a small bit of purplish red wine is trickling down the side. Mia, Steve says, standing. She turns, and he's holding out his hand, palm up. Key. Christ, her only reason for coming here, and she'd almost left without it. Locking this shit away isn't working, he says. I think it's time we stop hiding it. She's about to tell him he's gone loopy from the blood loss, but a photo on the wall behind him catches her eye. Steve and a bunch of other hard-hatted men drinking from thermoses. The massive skeletal structure rising around them makes them look tiny as dolls. And she has an idea. Steve spies Mia swatting at gnats as she walks toward the baseball field, for once empty of Little League games and the local amateur softball league. He almost didn't invite her, but then he got her text and the photos of what she'd done with the dolls. You were right, she'd written. Not hiding this shit. You were so fucking right. Easy for her to say. Her brand of fucked up was something you could embrace without hurting yourself. But his stemmed from a lifetime of trying not to get hurt. Time to try the opposite approach now. He stands at home plate, bat in one hand, the baseballs scattered at his feet. Mia's walking along the right field side of the chain-link fence. Jason's approaching from the left field side, clad in green scrubs that suggest a stop to or from work. And Steve's father is squinting at him through the rusty silver crisscross of the backstop, always too stubborn to wear his glasses. Steve? His father glances up and down from his phone, clearly trying to puzzle out the cryptic text message that brought him here. What's going on? Steve picks up a ball, tosses it into the air, and swings. He winces at the sharp crack of ball against wood. The ball lands between second and third base, stirring up a dirty cloud of dust. The cloud settles. The ball stays put. And for a moment, he hopes he won't have to go through with this. But then it starts rolling back. You want to know why I really stopped playing, Dad? He hits another one and feels the impact like a kick to the back of his knee. He staggers, but shakes off the pain and scoops up the next ball. It wasn't because I hated it like I told you. I loved it, actually. His father just stands there, mouth agape. Jason's gotten closer, but his steps are slower, hesitant. Mia, though, is running, because she knows. But I also had this crush on one of my teammates, Steve says. Another swing, another hit, and this one feels like a rib snapping in his chest. Andy Evans. Him and the other guys found this poem I'd written about him. Damn notebook fell out of my bag after practice. And they toss, swing, crack. Bruises have blossomed on his arms and legs, red-purple blobs the size of his fists. Much like that day after practice. He reaches for another ball. The ones on the field roll back like some sort of surreal stampede. Remember that day? I came home looking like I'd been in a fight? And I told you I'd taken a spill on my bike? Yeah, that was bullshit, but I think you knew that. Mia's reached the opening between the fence and the backstop. Don't! He drowns out her protest with another crack of the bat. His lip splits open. I knew you'd say it was my fault I got my ass kicked. He wipes the blood from his mouth. Because you were always telling me to toughen up and be a man. So that's what I did. Mia rushes up to him and tries to snatch the bat away, but he shoves her off, hard enough so that she falls on her backside in the dirt. Stop letting people see who you are underneath, he says, and you don't get hurt. He grabs another ball, the one where the white leather is pulling apart from the stitching. Turns out that theory's bullshit too. The ball in the air, the crack of the bat, the tearing of flesh. He screams, his body feels like it's on fire, and there's shouting around him as he drops to the ground. But just before he passes out, he sees the ball land by the center field fence, and he laughs. Because this time, it doesn't roll back. Mia doesn't black out anymore, and she no longer dreams about the river. Sometimes she dreams about the baseball field. Only in the dream, all of Steve's skin tears off. Yet somehow he's still holding the bat and the ball, nothing but bloody muscle as he takes his next swing, and smiles at her with 2 white teeth. Those are the nights when she wakes up in a sweat and dry heaves in the bathroom, when it takes her a few minutes to remember it didn't really happen that way. What Mia's never dreamed about is being an artist. Yet that's what everyone calls her arrangements of the dolls. Pop-up art. Installations that appear in the middle of the night, in random spots around town, set up by an anonymous creator. Some people think the installations are haunted, because there's always some jackass who steals a doll or pockets a plastic teacup, and of course she knows where to find them. She likes to imagine each thief's reaction when they learn their purloined item has mysteriously reappeared at the installation with a note declaring, "The gentleman who lives at 124 Smith Street stole me." Her perverse little pleasure. "You're like the Banksy of creepy dolls," Steve says. She's brought him to her latest installation. Several of her dolls seated along the eaves of a local brewery with beer cans in place of teacups. Other people have gathered as well, snapping pictures. Mia's grin widens. None of them have a clue the artist is standing among them. None except Steve. And having someone who understands why she does this is even stranger than her anonymous fame. A friend. The word feels weird considering everything, but that must be what they are now, because friends are the people who drive you home from the hospital. Friends are the people who forgive you for scaring them. The bandages covering Steve's skin grafts are too numerous not to stare at. On his neck, on his legs, on his arms, and those are only the ones she can see. As he follows her back to her car, a Frankenstein-like lumber to his steps, he talks about the conversations he's had in the hospital with Jason and his father. Things got pretty ugly, but... He tries to shrug, but only one shoulder seems willing to cooperate, making the gesture look like a nervous tick. At least we're talking things out now. Without the gory theatrics, I hope. Yeah, I wanted to show you. He opens the rear door of her car and reaches into the box on her back seat, full of the baseballs she collected from the field. He tosses one away. It doesn't roll back. I think I'm going to leave it there, he says, smirking as he climbed into the passenger seat. On the drive to his apartment, he's reading her one of his poems when she slows the car down to a crawl. Luckily, no one's behind her to lay on the horn. Not like the day she slammed on the brakes in this exact same spot. Steve starts cracking a joke about her old lady driving habits, but she hushes him and points to the news sign outside Anderson's self-storage. You're going to need more space for your records now that vinyl's hip again. In the parking lot, a paunchy, balding man has just finished loading boxes onto a hand truck. He closes the trunk of his car, then casts a wary gaze up at the sign. Mia glances at Steve, who doesn't believe in coincidences. It's like this place collects collectors, he says. Fellow freaks, she smiles. Should we learn what his deal is? Steve nods, and Mia pulls her car into the lot.
That was Barbara A. Barnett's Self-Storage, as read by Anthony Babington. Anthony Babington is an aspiring voice actor who looks just slightly off from how he sounds. From his secret volcano lair in Minnesota, he narrates podcasts and leases his soul to corporate America. He has previously recorded for Far-Fetched Fables, Starship Sofa, and the Cursed Inn podcast. He can be found on Twitter as Aleph Baker. Thank you, Anthony. Well, children of the night, the hour is late, and we've run out of tales to tell. For now. Tales to Terrify is made possible by the tremendous generosity of our supporters on Patreon and PayPal. Incredible fans like Lestle Baxter, Amanda Carrillo, Amanda Gottfried, and Orion D. Hegre, whose generous support keeps these lights on and flickering ominously. If you're not a supporter, head over to patreon.com/Tales to Terrify. You'll find all kinds of perks, like ad-free episodes, bonus content, and one-of-a-kind collectibles. Every dollar goes back into this show, and we appreciate your support so much. Want another way to support the show that doesn't cost you a cent? Head over to Podchaser, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts and drop us a 5-star review. You'll not only put an unnaturally wide smile on our faces, but help new listeners discover our terrifying tales too. You can show your love of the show out in the world with some Tales to Terrify merch. TalesToTerrify.com/merch will take you to our TeePublic store, where we've got a great collection of creepy custom and curated designs. Tales to Terrify is produced by Seth Williams, Meredith Morgenstern, Andrew Gibson, Crystal Hammond, Spencer Disparty, and myself, Drew Sebastini, with original theme by Nebulous Entertainment. Tales to Terrify is distributed under a Creative Commons Attribution, Non-Commercial, No Derivatives license. Join us again next week as we feast on innocence with more Tales to Terrify.